Welcome into Rogue Football. I'm your host, Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here today. We're getting into Senior Bowl standouts from day one of Senior Bowl practices 2024. If you enjoy the content here, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let's dive right in. So Tyler Guyton, probably the most hyped guy after day one of the Senior Bowl because he really didn't lose many reps, maybe one rep in one-on-one against Nelson Caesar. But this is a guy 6'7", over 330 pounds, really long arms, great athlete at the position. My thing here is you see a guy that has unrefined hands. Like, he was winning every rep thanks to his athleticism, thanks to his ability to get his body in position to prevent guys from getting to the quarterback, to get square with his opponent. And again, use his athleticism and size, but the hand usage is not there. He was not landing with his hands at all throughout the day. So to me, it's the ultimate test of, do you want to take a guy all the way up in the first round that is unrefined in his craft, but has some of the best tools you'll ever find? It's a great question. I think he is going to end up being a first round pick, but he's probably going to have a day 2 grade for me, and probably going to be a guy that I look at as a little bit boom bust, because if he develops those hands and becomes a competent guy when it comes to his hand usage, his hand placement, his punch timing, this is a guy that could be all world. But if he doesn't, he could be a player that struggles to play consistent football and gets in and out of the lineup and doesn't become a stalwart, the guy that he can become. So I see a lot of boom bust. Obviously, if you're a team that has a great offensive line coach, you're going to want to bring him in and coach him up, because all the physical talent and ability is there. It's just about refining what is there as well. So Tyler Guyton, I think, is a really interesting case study, a guy that I can't wait to see where he lands. I will be rooting for him, obviously, because he is unbelievably talented. But if I was a team, if I was a general manager, I'd be a little bit nervous because there's a lot of different potential outcomes with Tyler Guyton, in my opinion, but there's no doubt about the unbelievable physical talent he brings to the football field. Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback out of Toledo, I thought that he had a tremendous day, looked like maybe the best defensive player on the field all day in both practices, a guy that had great tape at Toledo, but it was almost all exclusively off coverage, just clicking and closing, reading these underneath routes, breaking on the football, and he did that at an extremely high level. He looked like he had the size, the physical ability to stick with players in tight man-to-man coverage on tape, but you didn't see it all that much. You did see it out there today. He was fantastic. Quinyon Mitchell was. I think he is going to continue to solidify himself as a first-round pick in this class. I think that's really where he is. He's got the size you're looking for, the physical ability, the ball skills, the instincts. I think this is a guy that is going to continue to rise. Talise Fuaga out of Oregon State, he was awesome at right tackle. A player that, you talk about him sometimes, you want to kick him inside to guard, you want to have him stick at right tackle. I think he's going to be a damn good player regardless. He is a dominant run blocker, a guy that has great feet in terms of his consistency with his pass sets. But I do think when he has to redirect, I do think there's times where you see a little bit of slow plotter out there versus a guy that's a hyper athlete at the position. And he's over 330 pounds. So you kind of understand why he's not going to be the most elite athlete at the position. I do think he's a good athlete, but he was dominant out there today. I think whether you're drafting him to play right tackle, kick him inside to guard, you're going to be happy wherever you get him and get him into your lineup, and he's really going to improve your run game and be steady in pass protection. Javon Foster and Christian Jones, two guys I haven't gotten to their film yet, but both handled business. At left tackle for Javon Foster out of Missouri, right tackle for Christian Jones out of Texas. They really handled business in one-on-ones today. Christian Haynes out of UConn, who I love his game, a guy that's shorter, stockier, but has tremendous length, great proportional length, a good athlete, physical guy. He did not look great at center. They had him taking some reps there. A lot of people have talked about him moving inside to center because of him not being very tall. I think you keep him at guard because he has the length to really do a good job over there, and he'll win natural leverage, and he has all the physical ability to stick at guard, in my opinion, out of UConn and play at a high level at the NFL. Defensive front, Gabe Hall out of Baylor. He was in the backfield all day. Another guy who I have not watched yet, but in this first practice session, he was dominant. You love to see that. Braden Fisk out of FSU, talked about him a lot. This is a player, 31-inch arms, not the greatest athlete in the world, but unbelievable motor, has a really good pass rush arsenal on the interior. He's constantly displacing hands, keeping guys off of his chest and working forward. And he's just a no-nonsense disruptor in the middle that I think is going to be underdrafted, but probably should go late day 2 in the 2024 NFL draft out of FSU. Dwayne Carter out of Duke, another guy. I have not gotten to his tape yet, but he was in the backfield a ton today. Nelson Caesar, I mentioned him out of Houston, winning a rep against Tyler Guyton, maybe the only guy that did so today in one-on-ones. Caesar was hitting the spin move a ton, and it was landing a ton. A guy that is an undersized pass rusher, but someone who, if you're able to land that spin move consistently and get a few more counters and really work your craft, this is a guy that might be able to end up being a really good designated pass rusher at the next level. Ladd McConkey, wide receiver out of Georgia, talked about him in the preview. He was unguardable. He is such a good route runner. The way he leverages, the way he uses his speed and quickness and flexibility to get open. A guy that is no nonsense route runner. You don't see a lot of the extra head movements and hand movements, and you don't see him running these crazy routes taking forever to get open. He gets open pretty much after that first cut every time. Love to see it from Ladd McConkey. Ricky Pearsall looked great, another guy who is a fantastic route runner with really good speed, really good athleticism as a whole. He's a little bit bigger than a Ladd McConkey. It'll be interesting to see where these two end up falling. Florida for Ricky Pearsall, Georgia for Ladd McConkey, two rival schools. Both guys are unbelievable route runners that have pretty good athleticism. It'll be interesting to continue to watch them throughout the weekend, the draft process. Roman Wilson, another smaller receiver prospect, smaller than both of those guys, but he was probably the fastest dude out there. I mean, they could not keep up with him to save their life out there. Luke McCaffrey was flying around. He was tracked at over 20 miles per hour on the day. Jaquan Johnson from Tulane, another receiver who's small, probably going to be a slot guy, utility guy, super twitchy and quick. They couldn't stick with him. No one could cover him. And he actually ran back into coverage a couple times after creating initial separation. At tight end, I thought Theo Johnson looked really good. This is a big physical athlete that can run really fast, run like the wind out of Penn State. They just really know how to breed those guys up there and produce stellar talents coming out of Happy Valley. At running back, I thought Rashid Ali popped out of Marshall, Ray Davis out of Kentucky, Dylan Laub as well. These guys, I think that Ali showed unbelievable quickness and the ability to bounce it outside. Ray Davis is just under 5'9", 220 pounds, but I think he has plenty of quickness, plenty of juice to his game. And then Dylan Laube, of course, has a really nice receiving skill set, a guy that I think can bounce it outside and do some fun things at the next level as well. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content here, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Fired up for Senior Bowl Day 2 tomorrow. We'll talk to you then.